Hello and welcome back to Marvelous Videos. How about a good old-fashioned horror ride today? I mean, not the same old ones like exploring a character's origin, no. Today we're going much deeper into none other than the wicked Resident Evil universe. Yup, that's right, the ultimate horror game franchise that set the very tone of survival horror for decades to come. Fan theories, speculations, secret connections, crossovers, you name it, we're going down that rabbit hole. So let's start digging and find out the 10 most mind-blowing Resident Evil theories that'll change how you see the series. Before we get into this exploration though, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Las Plagas has extraterrestrial origins. Before getting into the mysterious otherworldly origin of Las Plagas, let's take a quick look at what it is. Making a return in the 2023 Resident Evil 4 remake, Las Plagas is a living parasite which can control the host's mind and body, resulting in the creation of violent, mindless creatures called ganados. Popular narrative in the game suggests that these parasitic organisms were found in prehistoric deposits and later used by the Los Illuminados cult to form bioweapons. However, fans have something else to say. According to their opinions, Las Plagas have an alien origin. In fact, not only Las Plagas, but they believe the megamycete or fungal root too is an extraterrestrial creature. The theory goes something like this. Long ago, Las Plagas and the fungal root landed on Earth and started building their influence to gather human followers, their knowledge, and consciousness. Their ultimate goal was to dominate more than just this planet. Another version says that the Earth was hit by an asteroid millions of years ago, which created the valley where Valdalobos was eventually formed. This asteroid carried the first dormant samples of Las Plagas. They are constantly under the watch of a secret group comprised of the Merchant and Duke, who for centuries have been supervising and suppressing these ancient celestial beings. It's believed that they are immortal and can indirectly influence events through agents like Leon S. Kennedy and Ethan Winters. In a turn of events, Duke's identity itself becomes questionable, and we'll come back to that later. However, this theory is not without its justifications. In Resident Evil 8, the megamycete's origins are intentionally left unclear, except for in one instance where Miranda comes across the fungal root being referred to as God by his subjects, which is showing telepathic control and human consciousness. Similarly, in the 2023 remake, Las Plagas is worshipped by Sadler and the peasants. There are also mentions of aspirations exceeding the stars and divine remnants of the Las Plagas in various files. The notion is further strengthened when Plagas Hive was found in amber crystals mined from underground. Whether the fungal root and Las Plagas share a common origin or are opposed to each other is still speculation, and these theories might seem far-fetched, but it's worth giving thought to. The Duke is a guardian entity tied to the megamycete. Introduced in Resident Evil Village, the Duke is a mysterious supplier who helps Ethan with upgrades and crucial information. Well, mysterious is an understatement because we barely ever learn anything about who he is. He seems to have an omniscient power with an unconfirmed ancient origin. This is supported by a popular theory which claims that he's not human at all. While some think that he might be related to Salazar from Resident Evil 4 or Mother Miranda, here's a more interesting take on his identity. Duke is a cosmic guardian who has ties with the megamycete. Duke himself claims that he's unaware of what he really is when Ethan queries. Fueling the suspicion, the Merchant from Resident Evil 4 remarks that Duke and he have been in the business for a long time, so long that they don't even properly remember when it all began. This indeed hints at some supernatural powers working behind him. Duke's shifting size, cryptic conversations, and his deep knowledge about Ethan's journey and the land also supports this conjecture. The most common theory claims that Duke is a cosmic entity with connections to the godlike being, the megamycete, which grants him some kind of immortality. Moreover, in the Merchant's words, everyone was rooting for Duke, hinting at the fact that Duke might be here for a bigger mission and is using Ethan and Chris to achieve these unknown goals. Duke's ability to navigate the terrain of the game and his transcendental knowledge to help Ethan during a bioweapon outbreak suggests that he might be a physical manifestation of the megamycete. Albert Wesker faked his death in Resident Evil 5. Raised, empowered, and employed by the Umbrella Corporation, Albert Wesker was a prime antagonist in the Resident Evil franchise. Arguably, Wesker triggers the zombie outbreak in the series due to his unmatched contribution in developing the T-virus. However, he apparently dies at the end of Resident Evil 5 by falling into lava during an intense fight against Sheva Alomar and Chris Redfield. But just wait, did he actually die? Some fans believe otherwise. Given Resident Evil's reputation for bringing back characters in the most creative ways, Wesker's death seems like a pretense. Fans deeply believe that the Umbrella Corporation could have easily used a clone which we saw die, or it could have used some sort of regenerative technique to bring him back to life. Speculations reached new heights when they heard a voice clip in the 2016 spin-off Umbrella Corps. What was so special about that clip? Set in the aftermath of Resident Evil 6, Umbrella Corps has a multiplayer mode where fans have allegedly heard Wesker's voice in one of the clips. This strengthened their belief even more that Wesker had somehow managed to escape death and is still pulling the strings in the Resident Evil universe. These speculations were fanned even more when the post-credits scene from Resident Evil 4 dropped. Despite the remake of this game releasing after Resident Evil 6, Wesker does indeed appear at the end and reveal that he's hired a female spy, Ada Wong, to carry out his plans. However, this scene does not directly confirm Wesker's return to the series, but rather raises questions on the direction of the remake timeline. Nevertheless, these were enough reasons for fans to keep hoping for the much-awaited return of Wesker. Chris Redfield is infected with a virus. Chris Redfield, one of Resident Evil's most recurring protagonists, is what we call a typical stud. We're talking about the spiked hair, muscle-bound, and weirdly affectionate about combat knives kind of stud. As a member of STARS, Chris has been battling viral outbreaks for years. His journey from Resident Evil 5 to Resident Evil Village clearly showed that our warrior was growing old, with streaks of silver hair and a more rugged appearance. But one thing seemed to remain unchanged: his strength. Rather, in Village, it felt as if Chris had gotten superhuman endurance, and soon fan theories started flowing in. So, what was the secret behind Redfield's extraordinary power and increased muscle mass? Protein powder? Seems unlikely. Well, some fans claim that in Resident Evil 1, Chris might have been exposed to the progenitor virus while battling against one of its derivatives, the T-virus. Honestly, not surprising. Now, this progenitor virus has strong mutating powers. It might be possible that the virus has interfered with Redfield's DNA framework, allowing him to heal more quickly from injuries and instilling an indomitable resilience against bioweapons. To back up this claim, fans have also drawn parallels to Sherry Birkin, who achieved regenerative qualities from her exposure to the G-virus even after healing from the infection, and Albert Wesker, who gained superhuman abilities due to a viral experimentation program of the Umbrella Corporation. Nonetheless, fans are yet to uncover whether Chris Redfield's enhanced strength and durability is a long-term viral effect or is a hint at something bigger, a mysterious force at play, perhaps? Ethan Winters survived Resident Evil Village. The biggest speculation among fans is that Ethan Winters, the main protagonist of Resident Evil 7 and 8, didn't die at the end of Resident Evil 8. Yeah, you heard that right. An apparent death which left many disappointed now seems to have other explanations. In Resident Evil 7, Ethan was infected with the mold, a fungal organism with consciousness storing properties and controlled by the megamycete. Fans believe it is this infection that somehow helped Ethan survive. Though Ethan's physical body disintegrates at the end of Village, his connection with the mold suggests that his consciousness lives on within the fungal network. This is further confirmed when Rose, Ethan's daughter, communicates with a shadowy version of Ethan in Shadows of Rose DLC. This interaction takes place inside the memory world of Megamycete, indicating that Ethan's mind, rather the residual mold, can be used to bring his body back. Though regeneration of the body is not explicitly shown, fans deduced such possibilities based on the mold's previous actions, like reattaching Ethan's limbs or giving Rose her powers. Fans got even more excited when a mysterious post-credits scene dropped at the end of Resident Evil Village was repeated in the Shadows of Rose DLC. It follows a teenage Rose Winters going to visit her father, Ethan's grave. She wishes him a happy birthday before being called for a mission by Handler who works under Chris Redfield. Now this is where it gets interesting. As their car moves away, a ghostly figure is seen approaching from afar and the car comes to a halt. Fans immediately point out that the character looks like Ethan Winters, particularly due to his deformed hand. Capcom, however, chose to remain silent on this. Though Capcom has made it official that the Winters family story ends with Shadows of Rose, the lingering presence of Ethan's consciousness within the Megamycete, the mold's reality-distorting abilities, and this unclear post-credits scene keep fans speculating. Ada Wong used her grappling hook to survive Resident Evil 2. Ada Wong, the most powerful anti-hero in the series, apparently dies in Resident Evil 2. Honestly, this came as a huge shock to the fans because can you imagine the Resident Evil world without Ada? The infamous death scene showed Ada tumbling into a dark pit following an intense conversation with Leon and the revelation of her hidden motives. Both Leon and the fans believed it to be the end of Ada. However, she made her comeback in Resident Evil 4, and this has left everyone looking for possible theories on how she survived. The most well-loved theory is based on Ada's grappling gun, an accessory which defines her. Fans wonder whether, during the fall, Ada shot out the grappling hook mid-air and, using something like a magic thread, grabbed some invisible ledge with it and pulled herself to safety. This theory is encouraged even more due to her proven proficiency with the tool in Resident Evil 4, where she uses it to escape dangerous situations, most notably after her encounter with Sadler. It also aligns with the series' habit of avoiding on-screen character deaths unless explicitly shown. Further supporting this theory is Ada's combat weapons in the game. In multiplayer editions and spin-offs, Ada's skill set consists of firing a grappling hook-fitted arrow with an attached pipe bomb that explodes upon contact. It shows that she can combine agility with firepower, making her survival after a lethal fall more possible. Moreover, her ability to do a somersault kick demonstrates how acrobatic she is, further confirming the possibility of her survival. Honestly, Ada's survival was pretty much expected. Being one of the best spies, it was crucial to have her going forward in the series. Her near death in Resident Evil 2 was nothing more than a classic fake-out. Redfield in Resident Evil 7 was Hunk in disguise. Remember when a shadowy masked figure comes in to save Ethan right at the end of Resident Evil 7? Yes, we all know he claimed to be Chris Redfield, but something didn't sit right, and let us tell you why. The FM-12 style gas mask that he wore bears an uncanny resemblance to none other than Hunk's respirator gas mask, and not even just the mask, even his vest was similar to Hunk's. Also known as Mr. Death, Hunk is a mercenary working for the Umbrella Corporation who is often sent on secret extraction missions due to his brilliant combat skills. It wouldn't be an overstatement to say that Hunk possesses almost supernatural combat abilities. After the collapse of the Umbrella Corporation in 2004, a government-sanctioned private military company known as the Blue Umbrella came into existence. In the Not a Hero DLC, Redfield teams up with this newly founded Blue Umbrella for a particular mission. Now here comes the twist. No sooner did Redfield join the Blue Umbrella than did fans start to speculate the obvious, that it was actually Hunk who had joined Blue Umbrella, but under the identity of Chris Redfield to avoid scrutiny. Speculation deepens even further when the mysterious figure introduces himself as Redfield, hinting at his desperate attempt to hide who he really is. Moreover, the rescuer's smooth coordination, combat skills, and efficient use of firearms in difficult situations also matches with Hunk's expertise. While Capcom has openly confirmed that the masked savior is actually Chris Redfield and not Hunk, they have conveniently left the operative's exact origins and face ambiguous. Given Hunk's ever-professional nature, it's pretty likely that he is enlisted in Blue Umbrella, but this time not as himself. If this were the case, it would change the entire conclusion of Resident Evil 7, where instead of Chris, it's actually Hunk who has been set up for future missions under a pseudonym. Leon killed Ada in Resident Evil 2, and later regretted it. The relationship between Ada and Leon always had an air of tension given their romantic inclinations. Their story began in Resident Evil 2 when Ada became close to Leon with an intention of using him for a mission, but later ended up growing genuine feelings for him. This becomes evident when she risks her life to save Leon from the tyrant. This subplot actually ended up complicating situations when Ada seemingly dies at the end of Resident Evil 2 in what looks like a fall from a bridge. While the popular narrative states that Ada's fall was indeed an accident, many fans speculate otherwise. According to fan theories, there's a dark possibility that Leon deliberately let go of her, causing her to slip into a dark abyss, given Ada threatened to kill him only moments ago. It might be possible that a heartbroken Leon chose to let her go to save himself and focus on the mission at hand. The idea that Leon killed Ada is supported by his changed character in Resident Evil 4, where he shows signs of trauma like a brooding nature and heavy drinking. Presumably, it rose from a feeling of guilt over Ada's death. Moreover, Leon dedicated himself to finding and destroying Sadler, which might hint at a desire for redemption. Yes, Capcom hasn't confirmed anything about our speculation, but we're sure we have some valid points linking Ada's fall to Leon's changed demeanor. What do you think? The Resident Evil and Ace Attorney universes are connected. If assuming false deaths or viral infection of the protagonists wasn't enough, the fans have now invented a jaw-dropping crossover theory. Based entirely on what-ifs, this theory considers the possibility that the Resident Evil and Ace Attorney universes are interlinked based on Capcom's shared intellectual properties. It goes something like this. In the Raccoon trial, the Umbrella Corporation is brought to court for legal proceedings after the fiasco in Raccoon City. Albert Wesker, the main agent in the corporation, is brought before the witness stand. But how? He died in Resident Evil 5, right? However, in some spin-offs and alternate endings, Wesker manages to survive, allowing fans to believe that he went to trial instead. Following this theory, Wesker is asked to serve as a witness against Umbrella in return for immunity. In order to rescue Wesker from this crisis, enter Phoenix Wright, who's renowned for his brilliant courtroom skills. Despite Wesker's shady past, Wright decides to help him and finally manages to get him immunity while the company is found guilty and eventually collapses. So what was the reason for such a speculative theory? Well, we do know that Capcom has been known to combine its characters across different universes. With its crossover games such as Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Phoenix Wright does make appearances with different characters from other gaming worlds, including Albert Wesker and Chris Redfield. With these crossovers, we can see that Capcom is ready for a creative multiversal story, yet the company didn't make any official announcement connecting the Resident Evil and Ace Attorney universes, so for now, all we can do is wait and pray. The Megamycete and Las Plagas are part of a cosmic hierarchy. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that the monsters of the Resident Evil series are similar to Lovecraftian horrors. Let's take the case of the Megamycete and Las Plagas. First appearing in Resident Evil Village, the Megamycete is a fungal superorganism possessing mutation abilities. There's more to it. It can also control living organisms and hoard consciousness inside itself. Long before the Megamycete, Las Plagas entered the gaming universe. Featured as a parasitic organism, it shows a collective consciousness as well. Now, theories assert that these entities possess the traits of one unified consciousness, and their desire to reach for the stars points towards them being pieces of something greater, most likely a greater celestial entity. As pieces of a larger cosmic puzzle, the Megamycete and Las Plagas are said to have extraterrestrial origins, explaining the Umbrella Corporation's interest in them. In all probability, the corporation's experiments on the progenitor virus and the development of several bioweapons were influenced by these alien creatures. Given that both the Megamycete and the Las Plagas were indeed part of an ancient celestial entity, we might argue that the viral outbreaks in the series are merely stages of a larger alien domination plan, and that makes the Umbrella Corporation merely a puppet who unconsciously helps to spread these extraterrestrial influences. Do you think Umbrella is the mastermind? Or maybe something else is out there, something far more complex and dangerous? Marvelous verdict! That's all we got for you today, folks. Digging up some of the best mind-blowing theories was indeed exhausting, but we can't blame the fans, can we? I mean, the Resident Evil series is such a huge mystery box, it's bound to leave some people speculating. Major events like Ethan's death, Ada's disappearance, and the Megamycete's origins pose tons of doubts, and the fans have taken matters into their own hands. These theories, of course, are majorly unconfirmed, but they still give some kind of explanation to many of the unanswered questions, and in a way, they change how we look at this iconic series. Let us know which of these theories is your favorite in the comment section down below, and if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.